Good morning friends, it's Deanna here today and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be sewing a free pattern. This is the Mika basic bomber jacket by Tiana's Closet. It is so adorable. The instructions are a little lacking, but this is the reason why I do these tutorials, so you could sew them up with me and we can figure out how to do it together. I'm excited. Let's get started. Today I'm going to be using like this really light, I think it's Liverpool. I actually need to look up this fabric. It's from Boho Fabrics. It is gorgeous. I do have Liverpool, black Liverpool for my sleeves, and I know that they recommend using like ribbing for the waistband and for the neckband, but because I'm using already an all knit, you know, like lineup of fabrics instead of using woven, which this pattern is okay for wovens as well, except for obviously the band and the neckband and the cuffs are supposed to be with ribbing if you do it with woven. I'm just going to continue to use the Liverpool throughout because I don't have very good ribbon right now that would match this situation, so we're just gonna go with that. But this fabric is so pretty. Again, Boho Fabrics. If you did not watch my unboxing video, well, this would probably be in one of my older unboxing videos because I've had this a little bit. But make sure you go watch it because I give you a 15% off code for Boho Fabrics for the month of November 24. But I'm trying to make sure that I get a code almost every month, like renew the code, so that way you can always have 15% off. So just come back and see me and I got you. Hopefully. All right, so we're gonna get started. Now on the pattern, it starts by doing the shoulders and started putting it together. I'm gonna go ahead and go for the zipper and the facing first. That way I can get that done and out of the way. Everything else can kind of work after that. I just wanna make sure that we get that going because I had a friend a couple friends that were sewing this up with me. I think one of them is making a blog about it. And if they do, I'm going to add the link below so you can go check them out, check their makes out. But the facing, the way that the facing works and the waistband works and everything works was a little confusing. So we had kind of tried to talk it through. So then I've come to the realization that I think we're just gonna try to get that front piece with the zipper done first, and then we'll move on to the rest of it because the rest of it is super easy. I think the front zipper part is easy too, but I think the way that they explain it on the actual pattern, it's a little confusing, so it kind of throws you off on how it is that you're supposed to do it. So we're gonna do it together. All right, friends, so what the pattern asks you to do is to go ahead and grab the back and the front and sew the shoulders together, the sides together, attach the sleeve. So sew the sleeves on the round, attach the sleeve, put the cuff, put the neckband, and then they do the zipper. But here's the confusion. So if you look right here at the facing, this is my actual facing piece. If you can see, it kind of goes long enough that you can tuck it into the seam allowance here, and you have this whole piece of facing. So it's like a whole piece instead of just being like a little piece of facing because it's not a complete garment. Also, it goes all the way down here, which means that we could attach it to the actual waistband here and then a shoulder seam here. So that's why I'm saying that we should go ahead and sew the zipper on first, and then we can attach this, this piece to the actual bodice, okay? But in order to attach the waistband, because we don't have two front waistbands, a lot of patterns would have a front waistband and then cut it here and a front waistband, and then we could work on this as well. Now, since we don't have that, since it's a full waistband, we can go ahead. What I'm going to do, we're gonna start, I'm not going to sew the shoulders first or the sleeves first. I'm just going to sew the side seams. So that way I'll have a whole bottom piece. And I'm gonna explain that to you as we go. I know it's like veering from the pattern can be a little bit scary, but sometimes I don't know, maybe I'm confused. Maybe once we get done sewing this, you'll be like, okay, that made zero sense. But we're gonna try to make it easier than what the pattern is asking for us to do. So we're gonna go ahead and sew those side seams. So that's gonna be my first step. Right sides together. This fabric is so pretty, and honestly, it's thin, but I live in South Georgia. So, oh, this is the facing. And so it is warm here. It doesn't get super cold. So even when you're like wearing a jacket, we don't really usually wear coats or we layer. So this is gonna be perfect for here. But I do actually have some flannel fabric that I plan on making this jacket with later on that's a little bit warmer. So this one was gonna be perfect for fall. Okay, so I'm sewing that right here, right sides together to encase that. And so yeah, let's go do that and then we'll come back and go to the next step. I'm super excited because last night I was sewing something dark and I have dark thread on my machine, so now I don't even have to change that. I'm just sewing. Alright y'all, if you see me looking out the window over and over again, it's because my parents are supposed to be on their way to come see me for the weekend. Today is Saturday, and I think they're almost here, so that's why I keep looking over to see where if they're here yet. Oop, I just dropped something. Okay, so now we're gonna go look here at the bottom of the waistband. I mean the bottom of the bodice, and I am actually going to attach the waistband, but not right sides together, just not folded. The waistband won't be folded. The waistband's just gonna be straight, so only one side of the waistband I'm gonna attach. But usually the waistband is shorter than it is shorter than the bodice, so I'm gonna find the center point of the waistband and the center point of the back bodice and mark them. And then I'm going to match up right sides together here at the center point, and then stretch lightly to reach the other side, because this is where it's going to go get sandwiched with the zipper. And I'm gonna pin like at the corner there so it's nice and stretched, and then I can just like stretch it and like pin it. You could quarter it too. I'm just one of those people that's kind of stubborn and just stretches it. And then we're gonna attach it, just like sew it together. Again, well, if you're using a woven fabric, I would make sure to go ahead and finish the raw edges of your woven fabric so it won't fray on you. But the waistband, you would treat it the same as I'm treating it, because the waistband has to be a knit waistband for this pattern anyway. Because the way that it gets stretched, you can't do that to woven. So, I mean, what you could do is you could gather the bottom, but then it's gonna be, the woven might be a little tight on your waist because it kind of brings it in a little bit. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and sew that waistband on there. Woo, so excited. I get it started and then I stretch to fit. All right, so I've attached the waistband now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach the zipper first onto the bodice, and then we'll attach the facing to it, and we'll do the facing, and then we'll do the waistband here. So we'll put the waistband here and sew the zipper on and the facing, sew them together, and then when you flip it, let's just do it and then I'll show you what that means. So I'm gonna grab my zipper, and what you can do is, if you want to kind of baste this together first and see if it's even and then sew it. A lot of times I do that. So my zipper, I'm gonna mark the half of where my band is gonna be here. So just kind of know that that's where my zipper is gonna be ending up right here. So that's gonna be the end of the zipper, and the zipper is gonna be touching right sides together. So the right side of the zipper is touching the right side of my bodice. As you can see here, this is the back side of the zipper, and we're gonna sew the zipper onto our main bodice. And then I'm gonna sew it first to my main bodice, and then we're gonna have the lining, the facing is gonna go on top of it. So this is the side, the one side, and because the zipper, once I sew it on, you're gonna flip it, it's gonna flip just like this, and that's what it's gonna be. The right side is gonna face the right side. So we're gonna sew it right to that one side, and then we'll sew the other side, because then the facing will be right on top. So it will be like a sandwich here, like this. So let me clip it and show you what that's gonna do. Which I could go ahead and go sew it first and then show you what I did, but oh wait, the facing has to go up a little bit. You gotta start placing the facing. Well, let me sew it. I'll show you the facing after. So I'm gonna go sew that here, the zipper first. Okay, I've got my zipper foot on, and I'm gonna go as close as I can, but I know that sometimes it's kind of hard to get really close. When I get to my zipper, I gotta move that zipper jiggy thingy out of the way, all the way to the edge. And I am going to kind of turn this at the end here, so that way it's kind of out of the way, so when I attach it to my neckband, it's just gonna get attached there. There we go, it's sewn in right here. All right, friends, so sadly my parents have left. I think I mentioned this on the first part of this video, that I was gonna get a little bit of sewing done before my parents got here, and now they've come and gone. So sad that they left, but I'm excited to get back to this sew right here. Yeah, I'm super excited. So let's keep going. All right, so I'm gonna, I think last time we came on here, we had just attached the zipper to our main fabric. Now remember, I am using like a ponte fabric, so it's a knit, so it's not gonna fray. But I forgot to mention, if you are using a woven fabric, so when I make mine that I'm gonna have the woven fabric for the main fabric, you are going to want to serge or finish off the raw edge of where the zipper is gonna go, or when you put the facing on, then you are going to want to finish that with a serger or some way that it will not fray anymore. So not just a straight stitch, you have to have like a zigzag stitch or something like that, or finish off the fabric before you sew it on, just because woven fabric tends to fray and you don't want it to do that. So anyway, we have that. Let me turn my watch off so it's not distracting. Okay, so I have now, my zipper has been sewn on right sides together to one side of the bodice. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab our facing. Again, like I said, if you want to, you can finish up your facing now, or finish up later. And you'll see that when you put your facing right side down, so again, the zipper is facing wrong side up. See that? The wrong side. The bodice is facing right side up. So the lining is gonna face right side down on top of this main fabric. So right sides together with the main fabric. And see how it matches the neck curve here? That is the reason why I did not want to sew the shoulders first, because I'm going to end up sewing this right here at the shoulder seam, so it's caught up there and it doesn't try to fall down as I'm wearing it. So I'm going to match up here. I'm gonna use, I think, just pins right here. Right here, we're gonna match up and sew it to the zipper. So it's gonna be a zipper sandwich. So it's gonna be bodice, zipper, and facing. You're gonna have to move that zipper foot around, that zipper stopper around as you're going through there, so that it doesn't get caught. Now here at the bottom, I have my facing, but I also have my waistband. So what I'm going to do is to catch that waistband. Now on the instructions, what they do is they like hand stitch the waistband afterwards, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I did it this way, because I'm going to grab this waistband and fold it up. Okay, and I'm going to, at the same time, this is going to get sewn to the zipper here, and this facing is going to come over. Because then what I'm going to do, you could attach them together first. The lining, the facing and the bottom, you can attach them together right here at the bottom. You can do that first, but I'm just going to sew it, and then I'm going to turn it around and top stitch it onto it. So if you don't want to top stitch, then like I said, you could sew them together first. You're gonna have to probably kind of top stitch anyway. So here, I'm going to just pin it here so that way it doesn't move on me. And I'm going to sew them together here. So it's gonna be all sewn right here. I'm gonna sew it first with my sewing machine and make sure that my zipper is nice and fit. And then like I said, if you're using this, I'm just using straight stitch because my fabric's not gonna fret. But if your facing and your main bodice are woven, you want to finish that raw edge first before you sew them together, because to serge afterwards is really hard because of the zipper being right there. So you serge your foot might not be able to come really close to it. So you want to serge that raw edge before, finish that raw edge before you sew them together. Hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that together right there, and then we'll move on and do the exact same thing to the other side of the jacket. So sew the zipper to the main bodice, then on and on and on. So let's go do that. All right, so my fabric did move a little bit on me as I'm doing this because I did not put any facing on there. I mean, any interfacing. So if you want to put interfacing, if you're having a hard time and your fabric is moving and wiggly, putting some interfacing on there will help. Okay, so now I'm going to take this clip off here, pin off here, and you'll see when we turn this right side out that you have your zipper sandwich here. One side is done. So there's my one side, and it looks nice and even. This is the right side. It's got the zipper, and if I turn it to the other side, zip it up, and if I turn it to the other side, there's my facing here. And as you can see here, my facing and my waistband are not attached, but at the end, when I get done sewing the zipper on, I'm going to attach my facing right here. I'm just going to top stitch it, or no, I'm sorry, my waistband and my facing, I'm just going to top stitch right here at the bottom together. So I'm just going to do a top stitching stitch here, and that's how I'm going to close that gap. How I'm going to attach these two together. You could also attach it to the here to the seam here if you want to attach it to the seam. However you want to close that off, but I just think closing it off by top stitching it here will be the best way to do it, other than having to like hand stitch. So I'm going to be probably sewing on the ditch and top stitching there. You'll top stitch the ribbing if you use ribbing or whatever it is, whatever stretch fabric you use for the waistband. So that zipper looks so good. Now we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do it on the other side, and then we'll close all that off at the end. So we're gonna place the other side face up here, and we're gonna grab that zipper. It's gonna come around from the other side so that the right side of the zipper is touching the right side of the bodice. And then this time you wanna make sure that you line up really well right here where you can mark your zipper. Hold on one second, let me get my marking pen. Okay, so here's a marking pen, and you can mark your zipper to make sure that it's even where it's supposed to go, and then just place that right there. And what you can do is you can baste it together first and make sure that you did correctly, you sewed it correctly so that it's nice and even and flush where it needs to be before you sew the other side, just to make sure that you get it straight, because that's important right there. Because that, you know, like if your zipper is off when you close it, it's so annoying. I've done it before. That's why I know it's so annoying. So we're gonna go ahead and sew that on first, then we'll go ahead and grab our facing, sew our facing on just like we did on the other side, and then fold it, the waistband over and all that stuff, and then we'll come back and do the rest. So let me do this, and I'm gonna do it quickly, and you know, you can see how I'm doing it, but we're just gonna do it quickly because it's the same way. All right, so I wanna make sure that this lines up. Once I put this on, this line lines up here really nicely. So now we're gonna go back and put the facing. So we've got, this is the one side, this is the side over here where we just sewed up, and we're gonna grab our facing and we're gonna place it right sides together. Oops, not this way, this way. Okay, there's our zipper, face up, face down. Okay, this is the facing we already added, so we got to add the other facing for the other side. So right sides together, here at the neckline, we're going to sandwich. So just like we did the other side. Okay, we're gonna fold that, what do you call it? That waistband over again, just like we did. Match it up, make sure it matches evenly. And then put that facing right on top. All right, let's go sew this. All right, so we have finished that facing. And so when we turn that around, in the front, this is what our front looks like, waistband area. And the back, this is what it looks like. It's not been sewn yet. So before I move on to doing my sleeves and all that, we're gonna finish up this back area. So here's my facing. It goes, we're fitting it into the waistband here. And we're going to attach that waistband to our bodice. Okay, so make sure that I'm gonna start pinning it to my bodice. So we're gonna pin here. The waistband's gonna get sandwiched in there, and I'm gonna top stitch it. So pin it all the way around. You see that? Now our facing will also get attached at the shoulder, so that will keep it nice and taut, I'm hoping. And if you want to, you can always, also you should have also finished this outside of the facing here if you're using some kind of non-stretch. But if you want to, you can tack it down, like, I don't know, maybe some like steam seam would work too. Permanent, not like the washable kind that would just come off when you wash it, so there's no point on it anyway. But anyway, I'm just going to attach it to where that seam is here. Now the waistband does have to be stretched a little bit, so I probably should have, you know what, let me quarter it, so that way I get it correctly before I pin all this. And you can open up your zipper now, because it's a separating zipper anyway, so you can open it up to work with it a little bit better. So let's grab this bottom piece and quarter it. Find the half. I'm gonna go right at the half of the bodice. Find the half of the bodice as well. Now if you wanted to, like you're like, well, I don't want to be able to see the raw edge. Again, because this is a knit, I'm fine with the raw edge being raw. You could have folded here when you were gonna attach it, fold it and give it a seam allowance so that I had a seam allowance here at the bottom, but I didn't need to do that, so that's why I didn't do that. And maybe I should have mentioned it, so that way you could have done it if you wanted to do it. But hopefully you're watching this before you actually sew the jacket, and then you can make your decision if you wanted it to be finished at the bottom. So you can fold that over, so it's got a memory fold there. So that way it is already folded like a seam allowance, like a hem allowance. I didn't care because it doesn't fray or anything, so it'll be fine to leave it just like this. I'm gonna tuck this facing into it so it gets sewn down right there. And I'm probably gonna use either I don't know if I'm gonna use my cover stitch and come through from the front, or if I'll just use like a triple stitch. It's up to you. I'm going all the way down. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch all that. While I'm top stitching that, I can work on putting my shoulders together now. See, here I've got my shoulder backs. These are my back. I'm gonna grab my front. I'm facing right sides together right here at the shoulders. And I'm going to also place the top of my facing right there as well. So that way it's cut on that shoulder seam. Ooh. All three of them on there. Same on the other side. Grab my sleeve here. Right sides together, and then my facing right on top. Okay, so then I'm gonna sew that up. Then I'll be ready to put my neckband here and my sleeves. So I'm gonna grab my sleeves to prep, and I'm gonna fold them right sides together and sew that outer seam. Well, that inner seam actually. That's gonna be the seam that's gonna be on the inside of your arm. I'm gonna do that for both. Okay, I'm also gonna prep my bands. So my arm bands, we're gonna fold them right sides together and sew that short raw edge. And this is my neckband. And I totally forgot this pattern has pockets. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot the pockets. I already sewed the sides, but I would have sewn the pockets before I sewed the sides together. Ah! Oh well, I guess I'm not doing pockets with this one. I'm so sorry, y'all. I totally spaced out. I got into a rhythm and I didn't even think about it. If you're doing pockets, before you sew your sides together, you would go ahead and place your pocket right side together with the outer and inner, and you would put it right at the edge here because you have, well, this way. You have the bottom is gonna be attached to the waistband. So, wait a minute. Oh yeah, so you would attach the zipper, I said the zipper. The pocket right sides together here to the side up to the bodice first before sewing the sides. Then you would go around the whole thing as you're sewing the sides, but we didn't do that. So I'm so sorry about that. Maybe I'll show another time. Maybe when I do my other jacket, I'll do like a little clip video where I just show how to do those. I totally spaced out. I totally did not even think about the fact that this is supposed to have pockets. Anywho, neckband, we're gonna fold it right sides, wrong sides together because it's just gonna be attached. So what I wanna do is here at the front where I have my little point area, I'm just gonna baste them together, here and here. That way when I go to attach, I'm gonna baste it all together. You know what, I'm just gonna baste the whole thing together, wrong sides together, and just put a basting stitch. That way when I go to attach, I can, it doesn't move on me and make it weird if it's basted. So I'm just gonna baste right here, actually just at the front, because if I baste it all the way around, then the basting stitches are gonna crack when I go to attach it anyways. But I want the front to be basted together on both sides, the two front pieces that come here. So we're gonna baste right here along the edge, and then a light right here along the edge on this one as well. I'm so sorry about the pockets. I'm like sitting here like, oh my. But I don't want to take my whole serged edge off and all that stuff. So we'll have to fix it later. So if that's something that you were looking to see how to do pockets, there's other patterns that I have on here that have pockets, and it's basically the same way because it's just side pockets, inseam pockets, side seam pockets. And so, yeah, let's get going. All right, I'm doing a triple stitch right by the seam. You know what? I'm gonna do a basting stitch first. I wanna make sure that I am grabbing what I need to grab. Oop, yeah, get closer to that seam. And then do a triple stitch or a base, or whatever stitch you wanna do to top stitch. But I'm doing the basting stitch first just to make sure that I got it all cut in there, because if I do a regular stitch and then I go back and look and it's not cut, it's going to be harder for me to remove it and fix it. So doing a basting stitch helps me get it all together first. And you could even do the basting stitch from the other side so you can really see it as you're working with it. Remember that one got to get cut in there. Sorry, my camera stopped. So we're gonna make sure that this is right over it. Looks like the rest of it caught really nicely. Oh, see how this piece right here, the serge edge went up? Because I was doing it from the other side and I couldn't see it. So just that piece right there. Everything else looks good. So I can just remove that basting stitch right here and redo it from the right side, from the wrong side. And then I'll turn it around and go right over that basting stitch that I created and top stitch with my other stitch. You see that? Right through here, I can go ahead and top stitch with my whatever stitch I'm using for top stitching, which I might just do a triple stitch. All right, and then also basting this neck area here, folding it right sides together and basting it so that way when I go to sew it, it's together on both sides. All right, so moment of truth, we're gonna look at that front bodice and make sure it all looks good. The zipper is working. That looks really good. Now, one thing I did not do that you can do, that I don't know why I didn't do it. I didn't do it yet. I may do it later. It's top stitch the zipper. If your fabric, especially if you have like a fabric that's like soft and it's trying to come through your zipper. Mine is not really doing that at the moment, but you can go ahead and top stitch along the edge of the zipper to keep that from coming through. The only reason why I didn't do it right now is because I didn't add interfacing. And sometimes when you don't add interfacing, if you have this thin fabric that I'm using here, it may warp the fabric and pull on it and try to bring it tighter and like mess it up and have puckers. So, or you could use a walking foot. That's another way to do it without having all the mess ups. And this is what it looks like on the inside. If you see the facing, my facing is attached here at the shoulders now and here at the bottom where we attached the waistband. It is kind of loose here, so if you wanted to top stitch it to the bodice, you can do that with like a same color thread or something like that. That wouldn't show very much. That would be just fine. Or if you wanted to, you could probably, if you wanted to be like just little and trim it and just top stitch it, that would have been fine as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and attach those sleeves by grabbing them and turning them right side out. So my bodice is inside out, my sleeve is right side out. We're gonna match the back of the sleeve to the back of the bodice, the seam of the sleeve with the inseam of the bodice here, and then the top of the sleeve with the top of the shoulder here. So you're gonna match those points right sides together and all the way around the whole thing. We already did the hardest part, which was the zipper. Now we're just literally finishing it up. Super easy. I still cannot believe that I forgot to do the pockets, and that's so frustrating. I don't know if you've ever had a project where you're just so excited, you just get started, get going, and you're like, we got this, and then you're like, oh, I forgot the pockets. And the thing is, I guess the reason why I forgot them is because I'm not following instructions. I did read the instructions and they were a little bit confusing, the way that they did the zipper and all that. So I just got started because I'm like, you know what, we're just gonna do it how I know how to do it, so that way we can make it a little bit more understandable, I think, and easier construction wise. Little did I know I was gonna skip a whole thing. Just like I made the live pants by Mood Patterns. I don't know if you've seen that video. I have a video on here as well for that. Those are free pants pattern, and they're really cute. And I started, and see, again, with the free patterns, a lot of times the instructions are so lacking, and this is the reason why I like to do these videos, to help out with that, because the patterns are adorable, and then lacking instructions kind of make you not want to sew them up, right? And so I was just like going for it, I'm sewing and everything, and then at the end I'm like, I like these, but I have this gapping in the back. I'm like, what's going on? And I didn't realize it until I had finished the video that I was supposed to put darts in the back. And then I was like, I mean, darts are an easy thing to do. It's not like it's a hard thing to do. I just didn't realize it. I forgot. And so, yeah. Oh well, we all make mistakes. Now we're gonna grab the cuff and fold it wrong sides together to create that coffee thing. I'm gonna match up the seams here, and then I'm going to fold and find the half, and do the same for my shirt, my sleeve. Find here's the seam, and then find my half, and then we're going to place that cuff right over my seam, because you're gonna have to stretch to fit. And so then we're gonna, now if you are working with a woven sleeve, and it's a lot of stretching to do. Well, the cuff will be, you definitely need to use a knit cuff. But you may go ahead and gather that sleeve first, put in a basting stitch and gather the sleeve first to fit the cuff. It's up to you. And I don't know where my other cuff, oh, here it is. Don't know where it went. Here it is, found it. I'm gonna do that for the other cuff as well. All right. And while we're doing that, we can go ahead and attach our neckband as well, just because I like to do everything at the same time. Now, I can open this zipper here because we're going to attach it. Open the zipper all the way. We're going to attach it around. So first I'm gonna find the half of my back bodice and mark that. And on our neckband, we already have that mark where the back bodice is, the back of the bodice. So we're gonna match that up right sides together here. Remember, I folded that neckband wrong sides together. So this is what this is. So we're going to go ahead and pull that neckband, the corner, all the way here to the corner of our bodice. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna baste that first to the bodice here. Baste that first, because then we're gonna stretch this neckband to fit here. So I want to baste that first, because if I start sewing without basting that first, when I pull, that's going to move. And if it moves on you, then it's not going to look that nice here at the front. So I want to go ahead and baste that first. And you can also baste the facing together first, facing and the main bodice, so that way they're both together, because they're going to be treated as one piece of fabric. So if they move down, then it's going to be like gaping here and not going to look good. So you can go ahead and baste those together first as well if you want to. So I like to baste this little area here first, the corner, to make sure that that fits first, and then we pull and sew with a stretch stitch on your sewing machine, or I'm going to be using my serger on my serger stitch on my serger. But again, oh, and it's right sides together. So make sure you're sewing it to the right side, not to the wrong side. Let's go do all that. Okay, I've got my basting stitch here, and I'm gonna baste that neckline first, so that way we can go back over there and sew everything on my serger after. Oh, you see what I'm talking about? That facing is wanting to fall down. No, ma'am. You go up here, please. Thank you. That's why I mentioned maybe basting it first. And I am stubborn. And I didn't, so we'll see. So then make sure when you go to open it, because this is going to get tacked down here, that looks good right there. See how that looks good right there? Because I'm gonna push this down after I'm done sewing that neckline on. I'm gonna push this down and tack it down, top stitch it down to get it out of the way, and that is what it's gonna look like. So we want to make sure that that's good. And then the facing got cut, so make sure that's good, but make sure when you're serging that facing also gets cut. I'm gonna do the same on the other side, and then we'll head over to my serger and finish the jacket. Well, except for the top stitching of the neckline, but yeah. Okay, start with the stitches in the serger on the actual color, that way you can stretch. And then we're stretching the neckline to fit our bodice. All right, so now the next step is to we're gonna grab the bodice neckline, and I'm going to fold that seam down. So here's the neck area. I'm gonna fold that seam down towards the zipper. So fold it down a little bit, and we're gonna top stitch it. So, and I'm also gonna tuck in that serger tail into there so I can top stitch that serger tail down. So I'm just kind of serging everything, that whole thing down. The serger seam. I'm just top stitching it down. And the whole way I'm just stretching and pushing that serger tail down to top stitch it. I'm top stitching about 1/8 away from the seam. Again, that's what is this called? Serger tail goes under, and then that serge seam goes down towards the zipper. So that's what it looks like on here, and on the back it's down, and I'm gonna trim the rest of the serger tail. See how it's just kind of dangling there a little bit, but it doesn't come out here on the side, on the front. All right, so let's look at what this looks like. The neckline looks good. The zipper looks good. The waistband looks good. The sleeve look good. It's time to try them on. I just wanted to show you kind of a little bit of a more close-up. Now you gotta trim all those threads that you created. You can pull that basting stitch off, and then I'm gonna go try it on. All right, friends, we are finished. How gorgeous is this jacket? I mean, y'all, I am obsessed, and so is Bo. Did you just hear him? He said, so good. I know. It looks amazing. I love it. That's just one thing. I can't believe I forgot my pockets. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But the way that this fits and the way that this looks is so good. I'm definitely gonna have to make that other version with the woven that I talked about. So I'll have to make a little quick video where I just show how to add the pockets in and show you how that one looks. And I'll do that hopefully in the next week or so. There's a lot of or so on that. But I love how this turned out. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. It does really help me when you subscribe. And it helps me to be able to do more video, more contents, more things, more content and more ways. And then also commenting and liking helps the video boost so other people can see it, and I can teach them how to do some of the things that I can kind of sort of do, or we can just do them together. At least we can help each other out. Comment and let me know what you think. Thank you for coming along with me. This beautiful jacket makes me feel a lot better about my parents going back home. I am super excited to wear it. I am obsessed. I think this is one of my favorites. I don't know if I already said this. One of my favorite things I've made in a while. Anyway, with all that being said, go grab your free pattern, come back here, sew it up with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Also, I forgot, come find me on Instagram where I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We just kind of sew together and everything. So yeah, it's so cute. I can't get over it. I love it. Bye.